Hello dear students, today's topic of my lecture is automorphism and cyclic group. In last two lectures, I have discussed the definition of automorphism and its important properties by proving some theorems, and also we learn about inner automorphism definition and some important properties. So I am with some more theorems on automorphism. So first theorem what I am going to discuss is for any abelian group, the only inner automorphism is the identity mapping, whereas for non-abelian groups, there exists non-trivial automorphism. That means what? If a group is abelian, then the only inner automorphism is the identity mapping. But in case of non-abelian group, there exists non-trivial automorphism also. To prove this theorem, first of all, we consider G be a group and A be any arbitrary element of G group which is fixed. And you know by the definition of inner automorphism that it is a automorphism from G onto G it is defined over a fixed element which we have taken A here, which is defined as if FAX is equal to A inverse XA for all x belonging to G. You know the definition of inner automorphism in my last lecture. So now we define this inner automorphism, since automorphism is what? A isomorphism mapping of a group onto itself. So here we have the inner automorphism. Now we discuss the case 1 and we take G be an abelian group, that is the multiplication. If we take multiplicative group as G, then multiplication is commutative. So we take any arbitrary element x of G, then by definition of inner automorphism, FAX is equal to A inverse XA. Now since associativity holds in group, since it is abelian, so we can write A inverse XA as A inverse bracket XA. And since G is abelian, so we can take it as XA equal to AX because of the commutativity. Once again, using associativity, we get A inverse A into X, and you know A inverse is inverse of A, so that will give you the identity element, and when we operate identity over X, you will get X. So what we have proved that we have taken any arbitrary element X of G and we have proved that FA of X is X. So that is what it is. Image of each element is element itself. This is the property of identity mapping. So you can say this inner automorphism FA is an identity mapping. So we have proved the first part of the theorem, that is for an abelian group, the only inner automorphism is identity mapping, because we have taken a inner automorphism which is arbitrary and we prove that it will be an identity automorphism. So we have proved the first part. Now case 2, we take G be a non-abelian group. So if A and B belongs to G, be any two arbitrary element, so AB is not necessarily BA. AB is not equal to AB, BA. So now we consider, since BA is not equal to AB, so we multiply both sides on left hand side of both sides by A inverse. Since A belongs to G, so A inverse belongs to G. So using this, and now we take the associativity on both the sides, and you can say it A inverse B bracket A, and this is A inverse A bracket B, and which is EB. And so this implies we have proved that A inverse BA is not equal to B. So FA of B, this is what, by the definition of inner automorphism, this is FAB. So FAB is not equal to B. So image of any element B is not equal to B. So it is not a identity automorphism. So in case of non-abelian group, this automorphism is not necessarily an identity automorphism. So it is a non-trivial automorphism. So that is the theorem we have proved. So the inner automorphism FA is not an identity mapping. So for non-abelian group, the inner automorphism is not identity mapping, so it is non-trivial. So now we are going to prove one more theorem which is very important for inner automorphism, the set of all inner automorphism of a group G is a normal subgroup of its automorphism and is isomorphic to some quotient group G by Z, where Z is center of group. You have discussed all the things what is normal subgroup in my previous lectures, and also you know about the center of group. Center of group is any subset of group where the element of group commutes, so that is called the center of group. And we know center of a group is a normal subgroup, and any normal subgroup with respect to normal subgroup of G. So G with this normal subgroup forms a quotient group of cosets form a quotient group. So we have to prove two parts. First of all, we have to show the set of all inner automorphism of a group G is a normal subgroup, and then we have to show its automorphism is isomorphic to some of its quotient group which is formed by the center of the group. So we prove this theorem in two parts. So first of all, let us assume G be a group and AG be the set of all automorphism of G. We have proved in the previous lectures that this AG, the set of all automorphism which are defined over the group G, forms a group with respect to the composition of mapping, because automorphism is a mapping. We have proved that theorem, and also we have shown that the set of all inner automorphism defined over G is also forms a group. So let IG be the set of all inner automorphism of G. So obviously the inner automorphism is a subset of outer automorphism. So IG will be contained in AG. Let it be equation number 1. So first we are going to show that the set of all inner automorphism, that is IG, forms a normal subgroup. It is a normal subgroup. So to prove this, first of all, we show that the set of inner automorphism, that is IG, is a subgroup, and then we show this subgroup is a normal subgroup. And as you know, we have discussed in our previous lectures, a non-empty subset of a group is said to be a subgroup. If we take multiplicative group, then it is said to be a subgroup if A belongs to H, B belongs to H, implies AB inverse belongs to H. That means what we are going to show that we take any two elements of IG, fixed elements A and B, and we will prove that AB inverse will also be a fixed element of IG. So let A and B be any two fixed element of G. So with respect to A, we can define a inner automorphism by FA, and for element B, we can define FB. So these FA and FB are any two arbitrary elements of IG. We will have to show that F of AB inverse belongs to IG. Then IG will be a subgroup. So for this, first we show that FB inverse is equal to F of B inverse. This is the property of homomorphism, because you know every automorphism and inner automorphism are isomorphic groups, are isomorphic mapping. So obviously these mappings are homomorphic, so they will satisfy this. It is easy to see that this will be the identity inverse mapping of FB. FB inverse will be F of B inverse. So let X be any arbitrary element of G. We will operate FB over FB inverse over X. So since by the definition of composition of mapping, this will be equal to F of FB inverse Bx, and by the definition of inner automorphism, this will be equal to B inverse inverse X B inverse, and so inverse of inverse is B itself, so it will be equal to Bx B inverse. And so by taking it one element of, you can say capital X, and when we operate it over FB, FB is an inner automorphism, so this will be equal to B inverse capital X B. That means what? B inverse Bx B inverse B. So by all these elements are elements of G, which is where the multiplication is associative. So by using associativity, we get this, and easily B inverse is inverse of B. So this gives you the identity EXE, and we know identity element when operated over X, it will give you X, and this can be X can be written as Ix. So what we have shown that the FB operation, FB inverse gives you the identity. Similarly, we can show that FB inverse operation, FB is identity. So what we have shown that when FB is operated by FB inverse, either on left or right, it will provide you the identity mapping. So that means what? FB inverse is the inverse of FB. So you can write FB inverse is equal to FB inverse. Now, let X be any arbitrary element of G. We will operate FA operation FB inverse with X. So since these mappings can be written by this, and now using the composition of mapping which we have defined in defining when we defined inner automorphism, so this will be equal to FA of FB inverse of FB inverse, inner product of B FB inverse with respect to X, it will provide you B inverse to inverse X B inverse, and we know B inverse to inverse is B, so this will be equal to B X B inverse. When it is operated over FA, it will provide you F A inverse B X B inverse A, and by using associativity you can have A inverse B X B inverse A, and which is by reversal law we can say that it will be equal to B inverse A to the whole inverse, and it by reversal law it will be equal to A inverse B. So this is what here the element, here its inverse, and with respect to X. So this is what? This is the inner product of B inverse A. So that is F of B inverse A X. So this implies FA operation FB inverse is equal to F of B inverse A. Now A belongs to G, B belongs to G, implies B inverse belongs to G, B inverse A belongs to G. So this implies F of B inverse A belongs to IG. So what we have shown that IG is a subgroup of set of all inner automorphism. IG is subgroup of AG. Now we are going to show that IG is a normal in AG. So we can show that IG, that is set of all inner automorphism, is a normal subgroup of set of all outer automorphism. So now consider A be any arbitrary automorphism AG and FA be any arbitrary inner automorphism where A belongs to G be arbitrary. So consider FA F inverse X. So by composition of mapping you will get this, and by using the definition of inner automorphism you can easily get this, and by using definition of F preserves composition, so F of AB is equal to FA inverse F of this, and now again using composition of mapping you will get this, or F of F inverse X will be identity X. So this will provide you FA inverse X FA. So this will give you F of A whole inverse X FA. So this will equal to what? F FA F inverse X is equal to F of FAX. F of FAX. So this will provide you that FA belongs to G. This implies F of FA belongs to IG. So this F of FA is equal to what? F of FA is equal to F FA F inverse. So this implies F FA F inverse belongs to IG, where F is any arbitrary mapping of AG. AG is what? Outer automorphism. So it will give you that this set forms a normal subgroup of G. So we have proved the first part, that inner automorphism, the set of all inner automorphism, is a normal subgroup of automorphism. AG, set of all inner automorphism, is a normal subgroup of set of automorphism. Now the portion which remains to prove that, we have to show this inner set of inner automorphism, that is IG, is isomorphic to some of its quotient group G by Z, where Z is the center of the group. So now we have to show this theorem, and now we are going to show this part where we have to show IG is isomorphic to some quotient group G by Z. So for this we shall show that G is isomorphic to IG with kernel Z. So for this, we have to define a mapping between G and IG. So let us take phi be a mapping from G to IG, and the mapping is defined by phi of A is equal to FA inverse, where A belongs to G. So this is the definition of mapping which we have taken between G and IG, and we will show this mapping is isomorphic. So consider f of AB inverse x. This will be equal to what? AB inverse whole inverse x AB inverse. This will be by reversal law B inverse to inverse, and this by reversal law this will be equal to this, and easily by taking associativity we can show this, and by this A we can change A to A inverse inverse, and this is what B inverse Bx B inverse, and this is the inner automorphism of FB inverse over X. So this can be replaced by this, and now you can say by taking this we have f of, this is what? This is FA inverse of this element. You can take it capital X. So this is what? A inverse to inverse capital X, A inverse, and this is f of A inverse capital X, and capital X is what? F of B inverse X. So you can take it, this is all by definition of inner automorphism. So you will get FA inverse, FB inverse of X. So this will be equal to f of AB inverse X is equal to FA inverse operation FB inverse X. So this implies f of AB inverse is equal to f of A inverse operation f of B inverse. So phi AB is equal to phi A operation phi B. So this is what? This is phi AB from equation 1, because equation 1 says that FA inverse is equal to phi A. So this FAB inverse will be equal to phi AB, and this FA inverse is equal to phi A, this is phi B. So phi is a homomorphism in G. Now we show phi is onto, we have to show phi is isomorphism. So now we have shown that it is homomorphism. So it is left to show that it is onto and also it is 1-1. So for this we show phi is onto. So let FA be belonging to IG be any arbitrary where A belongs to G. So A inverse belongs to G. So phi A inverse by the definition 1, you can say it will be equal to f of A inverse whole inverse, and that is equal to FA. So this implies for every FA in IG, there exists phi A inverse in G such that phi A inverse is equal to FA. So this implies for every image, for every element of image set, there exists an element in domain. So that is what phi is onto. Now phi is isomorphic mapping from G to IG. So this implies G is isomorphic to IG. So now we define kernel of phi, because homomorphism, it is a homomorphism mapping, so we can define the kernel. Kernel is what? Those elements of domain which are mapped onto the identity element of the codomain or range. So let K be the kernel of phi, which is defined by that those elements of domain, that is G, which are mapped onto the identity element of IG. Identity element of IG is I, so phi x is equal to I, is the identity element of IG. So by definition you can take K x belonging to G such that f of x inverse is equal to I by definition 1. So that is what? X belonging to G, we have taken y over this, so you can write it this. So x belonging to G, and this will be what? X inverse to inverse y x inverse by the definition of inner automorphism, and this is equal to y. So this you can say x inverse to inverse is x y x inverse for all y belonging to G, and this is what? X inverse x y x inverse, we operated on both sides by x equal to yx. So now we use G2, that is associativity, you will get this. This is identity, so we have shown that xy is equal to yx. And this is the property of center, that the set of all those elements of the subset of G which commute with the elements of G. So that is what? K is center of G, and since K kernel of homomorphism phi is Z the center of G, by using the fundamental theorem of homomorphism, which says that every homomorphic image of a group G is isomorphic to some of its quotient group. Once again, I am repeating that fundamental theorem of homomorphism, which you have already discussed. That is what every homomorphic image of a group G is isomorphic to some of its quotient group. And we have already said find a center of group, and we know center of a group is a normal subgroup. So by this center we can form a quotient group over G, and which can be denoted by G by Z. And by the fundamental theorem of homomorphism, there exists an isomorphism between quotient group and the group, that is Ig is isomorphic to G by Z. This is the theorem. We have proved it. Now we are going to see some of the examples. So now we discuss some of the properties, some of the automorphism over cyclic group. This is the topic of this lecture. So first example is what? If G be an infinite cyclic group, then determine automorphism of G. We have to determine an automorphism for an infinite cyclic group. Infinite cyclic group means a group which is generated by any element which is called the generator, but the order of group is not finite. There are infinite number of elements. So let G be, this is a symbol for infinite for cyclic group, that is G be a cyclic group generated by A. Let T be an automorphism of G, then T be any automorphism of G. So obviously it will be in the set of all automorphism over defined over G. That is T be an element of AG. And T is what? A isomorphism mapping between G to G. So T is an isomorphism mapping between T to G to G. Now we show that G is equal to TA. That is, G is also generated by TA. TA is what? Inner automorphism, which is defined over A. So let X belongs to G be an arbitrary element. Since T is isomorphism to it is onto, so there exists some Y belonging to G such that T of Y is equal to X. Let it be equation number 1. Since G is cyclic generated by A, so this implies what? Every element of G can be written as some integral power of an element of A. So this Y belongs to G be arbitrary. So Y also can be written as some integral power of A. So let Y is equal to AR, where R is some integer. So TAR is equal to TAR by equation 1, you can say TAR is equal to X. So now you can, as T is an isomorphism, so homomorphism, so it preserves composition. So TAR will be equal to TA whole to the power R is equal to X, as it possesses composition. So every element of X of G can be expressed as some integral power of TA. So that means what? G is generated by TA. So that we have to show that G is generated by TA, a cyclic group generated by TA. Since G is infinite cyclic group, so it has only two generators. You know, this is the very important property of cyclic group. In infinite cyclic group, there exist only two generators. One A and other is A inverse. So there are only two generators, A and A inverse. So either TA is equal to A or TA is equal to A inverse, because only we can have only two generators. TA is also a generator. So TA either TA is equal to A or TA is equal to A inverse. So the automorphism has only two choices. Order of AG is less than equal to 2. So now we define T from G to G by Tx is equal to X inverse for all X belonging to G. Since T is 1, 1 and composition preserving, hence T is an isomorphism. So T is an automorphism. So T belongs to AG. Now T is not equal to I, as Tx is not equal to X. So it cannot be identity mapping. So this implies X inverse is equal to X. So A inverse is equal to A. So order of A is equal to 2. So order of generator is finite, which cannot be possible since we have assumed that it is an infinite cyclic group. So, and we know by a theorem that order of generator of a cyclic group is equal to the order of the group. So since group is infinite, So its generator cannot be finite. So that means it is a contradiction where as we assume that order of A is equal to 2. So it is not possible. So there is some assumption, some contradiction in our assumption. Our assumption is not right. We have assumed that T is not equal to I. So that means what? Which is contradiction. So T is not, we have assumed that T is equal to I. So that is incorrect. So T cannot be equal to I. So G has only two automorphism. So order of AG is greater than equal to 2. Combining 2 and 4, we get order of AG is equal to 2. Since every group of order 2 is cyclic, we know by a theorem, every group of order less than 6 is cyclic. So here we have a group of order 2, which is always cyclic. So automorphism AG is a cyclic. Now we know every cyclic group of order n is isomorphic to Zn, additive group of integers of order n. So here the order n is 2. So this group of automorphism AG will be isomorphic to Z2. This is the theorem. Now we discuss the second example, which says that if f from G to G be such that fx is equal to x to the power n is an automorphism where n is some fixed integer, then you have to show that am minus 1e is greater than G. So to prove this, let a belongs to G be arbitrary element. So consider f of a minus n x f a n. So by definition 1, it will be equal to what we have assumed in 1, ty is equal to x. So here we have this element will be a minus n x a n a to the power n. So by using reversal law we get this. And we have a very important property when I have shown the properties of group, order of an element of group, where we have shown that x inverse ax to whole square will be equal to x inverse a square x. So this n will give you the x to the power n. So fa inverse dot fx and fa. So this is by the composition mapping a inverse xa. So f of a minus n x a n is equal to f of a inverse xa. Since f is 1 1, so fa is equal to fb implies a equal to b. So this implies this images will also be equal. So by operating a to the power n on both sides, you will get this. By using associativity on the left hand side and right hand side also, we get this. This is an identity element. So this will provide you this a to the power n minus 1 xa, and this x to the power n minus 1 a to the power 1. And this is by operating a inverse on both sides, you will get this. And this will give you the identity element. This will be equal to a n minus 1x. This is x a to the power nx. And so this shows that a to the power n x belongs to ZA. This is commutative law. So it will be an element of center of group. So this is the second theorem. Now we are going to prove one more theorem on cyclic group. If G be a finite cyclic group of order n, then we have to find automorphism of G. So for this, let G be a cyclic group generated by A. So G be generated by A. This is the symbolic notation of cyclic group generated by A. So let order of G be finite and is equal to n. That is, order of G is equal to n. And since I have just discussed that in a cyclic group, the order of group and order of its generator are same. So order of A is also equal to, that is, order of A is equal to n. So by definition of order of an element, n is the least positive integer such that a to the power n is equal to e, where e is the identity. And let T belongs to AG be an automorphism of G. So this implies G is equal to TA. We have proved in the previous theorem. G is also generated by TA. Since G has only phi n generators, so T has only phi n choices. So let order of AT is less than equal to phi n. So now we defined another mapping Tm from G to G such that T of mx, x be any arbitrary element, is equal to x to the power m, such that m and n are relative prime integers. Relative prime integers means their common divisor is 1. So Tm belongs to Ag, we have to show that. So Tm is, for that we have to show Tm is automorphism. So for this we define Tr is equal to Ts, Tra is equal to Tsa, Ar is equal to As. Let R be greater than S. So this implies Ar minus S is equal to identity. The order of A is divisor by R minus S. So N is divisible by R minus S. So N is less than R minus S, which is a contradiction because we have already shown that N is the least positive integer such that A to the power N is equal to E. So N cannot be less than equal to R minus S, which is a contradiction. So our assumption is incorrect. We have taken Tr is equal to Ts is not possible. So Tr is not equal to Ts, where R and S are some numbers between 1 to m. So now Rs Sn equal to 1, that is they are relative prime integers. So at least phi n is automorphism of G. So order of Ag is greater than equal to phi n. So combining 2 and 3 we get order of Ag is equal to order phi n. So Ag is what? The set of all automorphism. Tm. Tx is equal to x to power m. M and n are relative prime integer. This is by definition of Ag. So we have find the set of all automorphism. We have defined set of all automorphism. This is the theorem. Now we show that Ag is equivalent to Un. Un is group of integers with respect to xn. For this we have to define a mapping between Ag and Un, which is defined by theta, and theta is defined by theta Tm is equal to m, where m is less than n, m and are relative prime integer. First we show theta is 1 1. For this we take two images equal, Tr equal to Ts, theta of Tr is equal to Ts. So by definition R is equal to S. So x to power R is equal to x to power S. So Trx is equal to Tsx. So theta is 1 1. Again, to prove theta is onto, let m be any element of range. That is, range is here Un. So m belongs to Un. So 1 less than equal to m less than n. M and n are relative prime integers. So there exists some Tm belonging to Ag such that theta Tm is equal to m. So theta is onto. Every element of codomain is an image of some element of domain. So now it is left to show, we have to show theta is isomorphism. We have proved 1 1 and onto. So now it required to show theta is homomorphism. For this we have to show it preserves composition. It is easy to show. So many times we have proved this. So this show that Tr/Ts is equal to Trs. So this implies theta Tr/Ts is equal to theta Trs. And by using this definition, we have shown that theta is homomorphism. So theta is 1 1 onto and homomorphism. So it is isomorphism. Theta is defined between Ag and Un. So Ag is isomorphic to Un. This is the theorem. Now we move to the next theorem, which is what? Show that, very important example it is basically, show that group of automorphism of cyclic group of degree 4 is of order 2. That is what we have to show, that if we take a cyclic group of order 4 and we defined group of automorphism over the cyclic group, then that group will be of, that group of automorphism will be of order 2. So let G be a cyclic group generated by A. Since order of G is 4, so order of A is 4. So each element of G can be written as some integral power of 4, some integral power of A. So we can write the set G as it containing 4 elements. So this can be written as A square, A cube, A to the power 4 is equal to E. That is, all the elements of G are integral powers of element A. Since an automorphism is an isomorphism, and the order of isomorphic image of every element of finite order of group is same, as that of the element. So only automorphism defined on G are, one is identity and other is phi. So identity will do what? It takes every element to its image. I is equal to E, IA is equal to A, IA square is equal to A square, IA is equal to A cube. And phi A is such that phi A is equal to A, phi A is equal to phi E is equal to E, phi A is equal to A cube, phi A square is equal to A square, and phi A cube is equal to A. So also the set of automorphism forms a group. We know that. So the group of automorphism of cyclic group of order 4 contains only two automorphism. One is I and other is phi. So therefore the order of group of automorphism is 2. So that's the theorem, and that's we have for today's lecture. I hope you understand about the automorphism and cyclic group. So that's all for today. Thank you.